Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to NECC Valorant. My name is SamTalkz. Joining me on the desk is Zhobiii. Zhobiii, we're stepping into week number 2 of our playoffs, and not only that, we're going into Division 3 playoffs, where, hey, guess what, right? We are about to see one of our two teams that we're about to talk about go into the grand finals. Those two teams being Akron Gold versus Washington University in St. Louis Red.
Absolutely. It's the semifinals, right? To gloss it up a little bit from week 2 of playoffs, right? And it is no double elimination. It's no nothing. It's kind of a third place match for the loser. And like you mentioned, it's that all important grand finals for the victor. And I was one of the people that helped select this match in the background,
Ooh.
Sam. And the reason why I did it is because I looked at this match and I really couldn't predict which way it's going to go, right? It's your number 2 versus your number 3 seed. They had tied standings in their respective group stages, Central A and Central B, 6 wins, 1 loss. And then it's interesting watch you beat a team right in the playoffs to get here that then in the group stage Akron lost to. So there's all these overlaps, and I think that's what's going to offer a very interesting best of 3 today.
Yeah, I think when we talk about the fact that these two teams were separate going into the playoffs, now meeting together here to fight against each other, both, like you said, just to gloss over, having those same standings, having those same win-losses. And now we look at the rosters themselves, seeing the players that we have on here and what they're ready to really bring to the table for getting into the grand finals, and especially how things have been shaping up in Valorant, how things have been so different during the past few weeks and how they've been able to adapt to it, especially in Division 3, right, where things can sometimes move a little slower than what we might get out of the higher divisions. Very interested to see where things are going to go between these two squads.
Absolutely. I'm still having an internal debate about which name I like better, Dairy Finkel or Mr. Juan.
Mr. Juan. Yeah.
Yeah. that's my internal turmoil, but I completely agree. I feel like Washington University and St. Louis Red, they got hit hard by the map change, right? Two of their best maps, like Ascent and Lotus, taken out, versus Akron's been literally swimming. They like the new map pool. They've done better on it. And speaking of our map pool, Sam, here we go. Pearl, Bind, and Haven. Now, you kind of thought that we were gonna see a Haven. I kind of thought we were gonna see a Bind. It seems like we got the best of both worlds here, and I really like this for each respective team. My only concern is that I could see a world where if Wash U take Pearl, because it's not terrible for them, right? 1 win, 1 loss. Things get a bit dicey for Akron since they don't have a great track record on Bind, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we will have to see. And you know, talking about this too before we even came into the broadcast tonight was the possibility that we could have seen Abyss, which would have been exciting, right?
Yeah.
That was one of Akron's best maps, but I think that really goes to show you that Washington University in St. Louis is taking this very seriously, right? They did their homework. They looked back, they looked through the stats. Abyss is one of the most played maps of Akron. In fact, I'd probably say it is their most played map. They love going there. They love some of the composition changes that they have on there. But yeah, starting with Pearl is going to be our first map. And again, this is a map that just recently came back into the pool. So both of these teams feeling fairly confident about how they can play around on here. And I think what's even more a topic of discussion is how both teams do enjoy this map.
Oh, absolutely. Both just played it in the quarterfinals, right? It's interesting, though, because you talked about doing their homework. Akron also maybe did theirs because they just lost it, right? 9-13 up against Flint Blue versus, right, up against NIU Varsity. Akron won it pretty dominantly, right, with a 13-4. So, again, super, super excited to see that. But then that is that team, Flint Blue, that Akron lost to in 0-2 fashion in the group stage. So it's like, okay, you can't judge them for losing to a challenger that you weren't even in contest, right, up against. So maybe they bit off a little bit more than they can chew. We'll have to see. But I'm super excited to see Pearl, I think, up first and foremost. And I'm glad to see the NECC division teams not shying away from the maps that have some changes. And I honestly, I really like how Pearl plays even before the changes, you know, minus maybe the be long post-plan simulator. So I'm excited to see how these teams manage it.
Yeah, and I think that's what is going to make this map a lot of fun too, is seeing how some of the juxtapositions in agent selections that they do play against with each other, right? Akron tends to go for that double duelist approach in almost all of their maps, and we're actually going to take a look at it here now in the agent select. Yep, Akron not bucking any of the trends. This is typically what they've been playing when it comes to their own agent select. Meanwhile, on the other side, Washington University and St. Louis Red, they're still in flux sometimes about what they like to play, but they've also settled into sort of a similar territories themselves.
Oh yeah, Definitely. I'm excited to see I think Defrone on this Yoru, and we're also gonna get the double duelist head-to-head here, right, with Thean on that. Okay, never mind. Oh, we're getting changes. Is this live updating? We'll have to wait and see.
Oh
Maybe
my
we're gonna get
goodness.
Austin, Defrone, Phoenix head-to-head. I do think it's interesting that Pearl is like the only map that we see the Phoenix on, and to explain, I think why he's so picked here is because it's almost like intrinsic with the defense on Pearl that you like want to fight forward. You want to claim like a main space or B long space, and that run it back lets you do that immediately, carefree, and being one of the cheapest ultimates in the game after, you know, all of them were added a few ult orbs into the cost. I think it is super effective.
Well, I think nobody's going to be complaining on seeing more Phoenix, right? Being able to see this agent come back into the forefront of Valorant. But hey, here we start. Map number 1, Pearl. Washington University and St. Louis Reds giving us the attack. Akron Gold on the defense. Already things look like they might be getting to an explosive start here, being pushed back. Austin really wanted to abuse Kerr. We have flashes left and right now, Zhobiii. And their wogs come up.
This orb.
Yeah, they are desperately fighting for this orb with everything they have, and they are going to get it. Meanwhile, back towards different pastures in mid. Still, it's touch and go. It's poking and prodding at each other without any real commitment towards an attack yet.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned how A main was going to be a hotly contested space, no pun intended, because it was the Phoenixes, right, leading the charge there. My concern is that Austin used so much utility, right, to keep that space and to get that ult orb. So now when they actually go for the re-eggs here from Washington U, they're going to have a lot softer of a time breaking through here, minus the 3 stack that feels imminent.
Oh, okay, that's dicey maneuvers here for Austin. No utility to be able to heal themselves back up to full either.
Exactly.
It's going to have to play away from the star, while Washington University just walks onto site and decimates everyone there. Fortunately for Atrium, not ready for Na, who's been hanging around for a long time, now down to the final player. One more to go, Darius Dinkle. Akron Gold really feeling the intensity of this attack from Washington U. Only able to grab the 1 here. So Washington University and St. Louis Red walks away with the pistol.
Yeah, again, I really like the exec after they fizzled out the initial Austin kick, because I feel like that is your delay utility on that site, right? You had, what, a Fade, a Yoru, and a Phoenix, right? Yeah, maybe a Seize that lasts a little bit, but it was that Hot Hands that was going to be there. That was going to be the wall, and all of that being moot, plus then the Thorns backside. Great execution combination from Washington Uni. I liked as well the lurk from Naw to clean up the rotations, and then they took it a step further, too, right? They pushed into spawn. That may be a credit to the fact that it was, you know, a 1v4 kind of situation, 1v5, but we'll see if that's a continuing factor in later rounds. But for now, eco round, things might get a little silly. Little mid-plaza start, little double duelist scale up A main out of Akron Gold, and we'll see how they align.
Atrium, bit of a scary position to be in, tucked into this corner, when all of Washington University is just around the bend. Kurt's gonna make first contact, hunted down by Thea Spectre, and Atrium wasn't getting away with much either themselves. Defrone, the duelists of Washington University, doing fantastic work. Mr. Juan protecting the flank from Austin. Darius Dinkle maybe doing a bit of shoulder peeking backside. Nothing seen just yet. Washington University still has yet to make their move, but the spike is going to be planted on A.
It's alone.
Yeah.
I hate that Ruthless went here towards Connector, but maybe I'm the one being extra critical. I was going to say, if they got that gun out of Premi, my concern was that the spike was alone, right? And we're just seeing Washington University super confident in their read on the map about where players are and leveraging that to their advantage right now. Darius Dinkle, like we mentioned, the solo anchor on the B site, left to anchor, nothing here. Wants to die, ideally, not saving a classic into this round, and Thean will give them that dying wish.
Yeah, I mean, right, Washington University had a strong push in through mid that Akron Gold really had no answer to. Ruthless, the only one walking away with anything out of that round, but Washington University, right, they try to extend their presence all towards B to draw the attention away from Akron, which, to their credit, Akron doesn't really lean into that very much, right? Granted, they didn't have very many players to work with, but still, Washington University and St. Louis Red looking very strong going into their bonus. Question is, how can Akron stop them?
And this is interesting. Fade going for the Sheriff, even though they had the Sheriff last round instead of that aggressive Vandal. But speaking of aggressive, your bodyguard has fallen, Austin. That ult orb has cost you your life. And now, I mean, Cursed, I would not stand my ground if I were you. I'd get it a dodge. Play the 3v4 if you can with the rest of your team.
That's so smart from Washington University, right? Then another attack out happening out there. The very least is even the numbers back around. Now, finally, the push beginning from Washington University. Darius Dinkle, right through the smoke, cursed on the high ground, ripping the heads off of everyone who walks through. Akron Gold may have been messy at the start, but stabilizes at the end.
Yeah, that kill on Tanal is huge, right? It's like, okay, pistol round, they alert super late, they're going to be here. I'm going to push a little bit deeper into art, a little bit deeper into mid plaza, clear them out, so it is that 3-on-3. And Darius Dinkle as well, rotating a little bit faster this time, got to be there to anchor alongside Curse. So better weapons through that Nebula front A main, and you are good to go. Deny that exec after, again, that was a rocky start from your double duelist and that A main fight. So now, coming to the next round, I mean, you're going to have to run it back, so maybe we can get the best of both worlds for Austin fighting A main and still being alive later into the round. But time being, I think that's why we're seeing Washington University in St. Louis Red. I was going to say, go back towards mid, right? Avoid these A and B main extremities for the time being, because they know that's where these players like to fight.
No, absolutely. And you're seeing Washington U just defaulting out, spread all over, wanting to take their fights, wanting to take their picks wherever they can get it. Austin continuing to be this sort of forward presence, trying to figure out where the space they can gain and where the enemy may be coming from. But that defaulting nature is not enough for Akron Gold to take any bait and rotate off of any spaces yet either, right? Playing off the KJ util. Ruthless is still on the high ground too.
I like this though. Turret gets destroyed, the KJ replaces it. Ruthless is about to swing off the Killjoy utility, and then your players on the air playing a little disconnected for the retake.
Yeah, here it is finally though. The push beginning from Washington University. Onto the B side, walls come up, smokes go out. Thean over on the other side. Ruthless stuck in a bit of a dicey position, but again, right, the numbers are equalized back and forth between these two teams. Still holding on to that high ground. Austin now running it back. Brilliant flashbang is taking out their opponent, and in the midst of bringing out their knife, right, it's still their ultimate, so not the end of the world. Spike pinged on the defuse. No, on the other end of this smoke, but there is 4 players they have to contend against to try and even hold a chance at this map. But Ruthless living up to their name as Akron Gold ties it up.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked the start of that round for Washington U, right? You mentioned that Blaze Wall. It set up the perfect backhalls re-clear from the Jet, so nice coordination between the double duelists, but it was that run it back from Defrone again, from Austin, right? That really expedited retake there, and the splinter and the Killjoy utility that allowed them to clear out that space so effectively, so fast, did not give them that luxury of getting off site to support, right? Atrium to play, to support Null, to play that post-plant game, and that's exactly what you should do on the B site, right? When it is, even though it's changed, it's still a B site Pearl, right? So a great way to equate things at a 2-on-2 here. And now, Washington in the hot sheet, having to win this bye round.
Oh, wait, that flashbang, so brutal! There was nowhere that Austin could have gone. They were completely blinded out in almost all totality. It seems like for Akron, right, sending your duelists over and over again to A main, Washington University is really picking up on that.
Yeah, it's definitely a tendency that's getting punished, and we've seen now the impact Austin can have in the late round, so I'm not the most fond of it, but what I was gonna say was another tendency. Atrium had picked up on the Null lurk, and at least Curse is able to refrag it, but now they might have realized that there's not as many A main as they thought. It is a heavy mid-arc pivot.
Yep, right now Defrone back in their own run it back. Cursed, waiting for any potential threats coming in their direction. Are they ready for the high ground pick'ems here? Though that Thean may have thrown a couple of knives in their face, but they're still alive with 24 HP, leaving behind some prowlers. But again, right, you're so low. The Spectre is able to do the dirty work. Ruthless stuck in backside dugout, hanging on for dear life while everything is breathing down their neck. Send out the clone, trying to scare them away. But that Spectre in Thean's hand is just so brutal. Ruthless, some may say, especially maybe even Ruthless themselves. Darius Dinkle blinded out, and it was only a matter of time. Washington University back in the lead.
Wow, and I don't think I've seen as deadly of a Spectre in a long time in Thean's hands. I mean, the confidence to fight forward, knowing that the blade's connected on the Curse, knowing that it was giving up the space, that was really nice. And then immediately to go now fight back site, which went uncleared, right, on the initial uptake. I was like, okay, Ruthless is here uncleared. This could be really good for them once the rest of the team is ready to jump on it, to pounce on it. But Akron Gold, minus that B retake, it's been a little bit disconnected towards the A side of the map. That's where we have to see that solve. And for now, it looks fairly consistent, right? Still the double duelist fight, still the Fade Art, still the Astra to clean up mid-connector.
All right, and you've also been seen out. Atrium is just stuck there. They have to take their ones and try to win them. Ones, by the way, that was actually 3 players going up through mid, so it was doomed to be cursed either which way. Speaking of cursed, right, on the other side of that wall, not taking any chances, just gonna back off. Austin still so far forward. And it's like Akron Gold wants to play these kind of games, but it's so dangerous almost every single time. Almost concussed down. Austin has a chance to get out of here, but needs to use their wall and isn't even gonna get the healing from it either.
Yeah, they are definitely lucky to be alive. And you mentioned that it's this consistent poking and prodding. I mean, from finding the Astra, that means no more smokes on the retake from Akron Gold, to that chip damage that's gonna make it even harder out of Austin. Now they regroup onto the undefended site. They know, again, that Akron Gold setup right now is predictable. They know that that Killjoy is going to be towards the Beast space. So, again, it's going to be a lot of pressure on Ruthless here, I think. I think, in my mind, to win this round, you have to at least take a risk. You have to, I was going to say, try to peek this out and get a kill. But because of that Nightfall, they don't get that choice anymore, right? They're just going to play the 4 on 5 with a reduced HP, but 2 kind of have been chunked out from WashU as well.
It's a good opportunity here. It's not out of the woods for Akron just yet either. Had to get through all of this utility being dumped their way. And Nas even set up in a nice position over towards Art.
Contact though.
Yeah, yep, Thean, high ground. Draws the attention away. How judicious is Akron gonna be in clearing that corner and clearing any potential threats? Now gets there one, Ruthless trades it out, right? Anything, any second starts happening here, but somehow Akron is doing a phenomenal job at keeping things in an even footing. Ruthless. Unbelievable, but you gotta get to the defuse. Wait a minute, curses by themselves. Mr. Wall. Oh my word, Zhobiii.
They really
What?
I just needed to take a moment of astonishment, you know, jaw dropped for that hospital flick. That one from Mr. One is a really, really nice. Oh, I thought that they played that post plant like really, really rough, right? I mean, from they almost had the timing right on Austin being so deep, right? Or sorry, Curse being so deep into Art. Oh my goodness! And
yeah,
again, there's a lot of breakdown, but we just need to appreciate that clutch right now. And they're trying to take that momentum and convert it into overwhelming these B-Link players again.
All right, Darius Tinkle, you had to do something. We were talking about those bold maneuvers, and Darius Tinkle did just that. But it's only the one. Atrium swings around from the pillar, but Mr. Juan, the talk of the town, back in the driver's seat for Washington University. Spike's gonna get planted. Now we're looking towards another direction. Austin, though, through the smoke, lands the headshot onto Mr. Juan. So it's a 3v3, right? Still within some realm of possibility here, but yeah, Thean, right? It's gonna be so difficult for them to do anything. And in the midst of your utility, Primi gets the double kill and sweeps things under the rug.
I liked the patience from Primi there. I liked the one playing forward, right? Because that was my big criticism of WashU and how they played that post plant last round, that Mr. One was able to bail them out of. It's like, nah, your Astra, your post plant player, right? Gravwell, etc. is playing first contact there. Like, maybe it's because of the low HP, but then you have Mr. One, who was like the furthest away also with low HP. So, again, they fixed that up a little bit. They changed who was fighting forward. It was Thean, right? It was Primi. And, well, there were some nice shots on the eco round for Akron Gold. This is where they have to answer back, right? Weapons, 5 ultimates strong, and WashU, I mean, with the Cosmic Divide and a Steel Garden of their own, I could see grounds for snuffing it out, but we're starting to see changes finally. Ruthless also supporting Link, so they don't just go barreling into it. And a little bit later of a re-clear from Austin into A-main as well.
All right, starting things up with a quick flash, and now a Steel Garden just to really secure this mid-positioning, right? But then Akron Gold is going to retreat towards the site itself, where you have Austin, where you have Cursed. Do they realize how far this player has gone? Nah, waiting for the eventual lurker out from Atrium. There's going to fight back, but still, right? Mr. One walking up through main. Austin, run it back, take it down almost immediately. Ruthless has to be so careful about inside of Art. How cognizant are they going to be of that? Not even going to attempt it. Just flash and TP and regroup, rather.
Yeah, they're just not getting a lot of info or bang for their buck off these ults. So Dimensional Drift also invested on top of it. Primi position known, so is Defrone, but we need some support. And this Yoru has been nerfed, so it's Austin doing all of the heavy lifting. Nada with the backstab that we mentioned comes in clutch, and now you're trying to splinter these players, but they're just playing time.
They really are. And unfortunate here that Ruthless couldn't get rid of Mr. One. They're playing Ring Around the Rosie, but now realizing that Gnaw is gone, had to make their move. Ruthless is gonna fight back in brilliant fashion. Akron Gold finally getting another round for themselves.
Yeah, again, recognizing they both were split instead of grouping up, realizing they were out of time. They tap, they hold, they each win their 1v1s, and that is how Akron Gold has kind of been defined this semester. Again, close affairs, but still putting the work to get their way through it. So, there we go. Again, I was nervous at the start, but again, I think they're understanding and like, yeah, there's some stuff up sometimes, right? Like Atrium losing to Gnaw, even though they know that they're on this consistent mid lurk. You know, Gnaw as well. I don't know. Did they use the gravel already there and they were sort of out of utility? And that's why they felt the engagement against Darius Dingle? Those, again, questions, I think, with this composition and how strong it is in the post, which is why they've thrived in the rounds. They find that early advantage against Akron Gold, and Akron's just not giving it to them anymore.
Yeah, right. And a lot of this utility being dumped too from Curse is giving out so much information.
Ooh.
And with that information, Curse is actually gonna come out of the other end of it golden. I mean,
Gotta be
a
a
pick
crazy
already.
shot, no?
Yeah, right. Where the Guardian too, especially.
I don't even see the X on the map, bro. That's how close it is.
And again, we're talking
This
about the
is-
recognition. Ooh, yeah, this is gonna be with this outlaw, right?
Theon's done this before, too. Last time, though, it wasn't the Killjoy jumping halls. It was Ruthless from Heaven playing contact on it, right? While Killjoy held Link. And now they're collapsing inward. They know that shot connected. They know the B side is softened, but I don't know how I feel about this cancellation, right? We're seeing so many different paths, like Device going for the longest wrap possible. And this is possible because look at this. They've just triggered the wall on A main, so now you know what accelerate here.
Yeah, Mr. One. Detecting Gnaw. Here it is, another Nightfall. Racking these up so quickly, right? Second already. And meanwhile, Primi had gone all the way through their spawn and assassinated their target. Do they realize, though, does Washington University keep the flank protected? They do. Mr. Juan there. Thea now looking back towards the flank as well. And up comes the wall. Just a little bit of extra insurance to make sure that this site is protected. Mr. Juan over on the other side.
The flank players.
No, I agree. Theon may be decayed, may be low. Cursed has to fight back with that Guardian. Okay, things are topsy-turvy. They realize where Gnaw is going to be. Cursed, valiant efforts, valiant attempts. But at the end of the day, it's a Gnaw kind of game.
Yeah, a little miscomm, I think, about how many were there flanking and how they were going to take contact as each funneled through that Cosmic Divide. But again, time wasn't on their side. And again, the Vice util, that Vice lurk kind of solidified that there was that presence. Like you mentioned, Mr. Juan could play off of it, could pivot like he did. So, gonna go 6-3 right now. Again, a reminder, this is Akron Gold's pick, right?
Yeah, feeling a little shaky, right, on the defense.
Yeah. With the Killjoy, too. The Killjoy versus the Vice. Interesting head-to-head with the nerfs that came out, but 4 ults and a Plaza fight finally out of Akron Gold, Sam. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, let's see if it works. Let's see how much Primi is going to be able to grab. They get the one, but never mind Primi. A walking armory.
Oh my gosh.
A force of nature. They just gotta find out where Ruthless is. Come on. Washington University. Yeah, you can see it, right? You can see it. Theon's got the knives out. Knives out. Give Primi the ace. Give Primi the ace.
No.
Ruthless over on the other side. Primi, 24 HP. Still has the regen shields though, Zhobiii.
This was your player with the hero rifle, though. So, like, usually it's like, oh, why are you trying to deny the ace? This time they have a reason, right? Oh,
all right, flashbang over the other side. Ruthless couldn't stop Primi. Couldn't stop the ace. Cannot stop Washington University in St. Louis Red.
Wow. I mean, there's one rule on ecos, right? Stick together. And they just branched out immediately after no contact was made, right? And in the previous rounds, I think that's the correct read, right? Like, it's been like 3 players in Plaza immediately. This time it was just the one late in shops, but you have to do that extra ounce of care to make sure you're clearing each corner, nook, and cranny. Or Primi is going to wind things up real quick, and Primi 2.0 looking like 1.0 in that, the OG with some of those shots, so... Great confidence powder here to try and close out this half towards an 8-4, towards a 9-3. We'll see if Theon can be that tip. Office run it back into the A site.
Here it is, run it back, seal garden, just clear it out and let Defrone do what they do best, start blasting. Once Ruthless is able to fight back like that, but again, just a run it back. Theon on the other side of the smoke, feeling far too impatient, wants to take fights themselves. Brilliant! Gravity well, by the way, that is unbelievable. Now fighting back with the Nightfall, but it's Mr. One who's rebuking them as best they can, but Akron Gold, it may have been an ace in the last round for Washington University, but that is not going to break their spirit.
Yeah, it was a very interesting idea there out of Washington U. It's kind of like I mentioned prior, I was going to see if the pistol round tendency of fighting forward continued, and it did there, but as a result, they spread themselves too thin. They kind of got flushed out because they cleared Art this time from mid. Like, it's two players, right? Ruthless, again, that was the big pivot this half, was instead of playing doubled up with Austin towards A main, they've been supporting players like Curse, players like Atrium around mid connector, and it finally worked out in their favor. I think Darius Dingle winning that fight up against, or just in Flowers as well, was huge. So again, just backside fights not going their way, things start to slip. So Akron, like you mentioned, stabilizing on forward, looking for the 7-5, and this is where we're again going to be eyes on Ruthless and how this B-hold and connector has developed, and how are there 4 people B-side and spawn? Oh, no.
Wait a minute. I realize something's cooking here, right? And Curse getting all of that information. They heard the Prowler. They heard the flashbang.
And
they're
all
in
going
sewers.
A.
Yeah, right. They're all leaning back towards A. But guess what? Akron is heading in that direction themselves. You play off the information from the KJ, but it looks like the call good so far. Smokes are going to start going up, and that's should be enough of that indicator on where Washington University is going to end up. But Ruthless, already being that first blood, tip of the spear for Akron Gold, has softened the enemy maybe just enough.
Fighting this.
Oh,
That's
please.
your player, and they've just been traded out. The C's coming in late, and now the lockdown for the retake. You're going to be forced off with nothing to play off of. No mollies, no nothing to get them off the spike.
Yeah, forced back by the lockdown here. Yep, the Cosmic Divide. Just another wrinkle in the plan for Washington University. Akron Gold fighting back with every single ounce of passion that they have in their soul. Defrone has to stop Atrium. Atrium's just sticking it for as long as they can, but good defense from the rest of the team. It's gonna make this a 7-5 first half.
Wow, perfect bodyguarding there, and again, a little misunderstanding of the post-plant roles at times out of WashU cost them around there, and cost them a dominant half, right? Where one pistol victory for Akron Gold can allow them to bounce back towards a 7-7 here. And again, I think Akron, the developments came out slow, but once they were there, they were super, super strong, super, super effective. And again, I think some of the team fights, again, in those retakes is where Akron shined the most, which I think is going to make it really, really hard for WashU on the attack here, right? The double duelist, number one, with this Yoru, with this Phoenix. And if they're in sync on these executions, I don't know if you're going to be able to hold your ground against it.
Yeah, that kind of tidal wave coming against you. Washington University and St. Louis Red gonna have a lot to contend with here. Now Akron Gold, their attack. New half, new possibilities. And a pistol round one, like you said, Zhobiii, they are gonna bounce back in almost dominant fashion. But wall's gonna come up, Darius Tinkle. Unbelievable shot to land against a demon that's been 3 at the end. One more chance and 2 taken down already. That should be the calling card for Akron Gold. Get on to B, start planting that spike.
Yeah, I mean, it was a proper call, right? If you're losing control over connector to fight down long, try to take those fights, but them being disconnected, and also you're not expecting a killjoy with the Sheriff, so huge double kill from Darius Dinkle. The crunch is good, the post is set, and it's a 3v4 attempt for WashU here.
It's gonna be so difficult, right? Darius Dinkle, low on that HP. Still gonna make so much chip damage happen here. Atrium, that's scary though, that's scary. Never mind. What looked like dire straits for Washington University instead has become their saving grace.
The isolation fights around that nebula, right, which was meant to get someone onto the spike, work out in their favor, right? It allows them to take some of these ones and win them. Like you mentioned, it may have been a disadvantaged retake scenario, but WashU make it look pretty seamless. So, second pistol of the map goes to WashU. We prevent that 7-7 tied game, at least out of the gate. And no antics, no force-ups here out of Akron Gold. Just going to respect it here. See what they can do with the Sheriff and Classics. And another WashU buy up here to see if they can just further solidify things. Start inching closer and closer to stealing away Akron Gold's map pick.
Closer and closer.
Washington, closer.
Yeah, closer and closer. Washington University and St. Louis Red. Now on the anti-eco, Akron Gold. 4 players strong, pushing up through A main. Prowler, seeing Brimmy. Nowhere near enough, though, to keep this player outside of that smoke. They want to get the most value out of this Bulldog they possibly can. But even just destroying that Prowler, right, Zhobiii, is sent shivers enough through Akron Gold that they don't want to push into that just in case of what could be waiting for them on the other side of that wall. Instead, wanted to go for greener pastures on B, but, right, You're going up against Thean with a Marshall.
Yeah, Thean's been pretty good, at least on the chip damage with this weapon. First time we're actually seeing him test on the belong angle. Makes me think we'll see an operator later in this half if the rounds keep going in their favor, but...
Yeah, yikes!
That is a crazy timing to the Blaze Wall.
Yep, here it is. Ruthless trying to hit the flashbang. Wow, Thean! And then you're just gonna dash right into them and still get one more!
Last player.
They should not have got the third.
Oh, no way. No way, they should never have. And now Darius Dinkle by themselves? 22 HP?
And they know where they were as well, so you have eyes on Link where you thought they'd be coming
30
from.
seconds left.
You don't have anybody, I was gonna say, looking long. Heads on swivel, still no one looking. They're toying with the idea. Finally Defrone posted up on the angle, picked up and carried the legacy of Thean and that Marshall in to the final kill on the round. 9-5, favoring WashU. So again, Akron, they're kind of living true to what I said about these grouped execs being super, super strong. But again, worse weapons there. Unfortunate kills going Thean's way, even though they were grouped up super strong in halls. And the round falls apart. So now weapons in hand. I'll run it back as well. They've been funneling the ultimates into Austin's hands. We'll see what this looks like when it's kind of an all-in towards a finally testing the waters of this device setup head on.
I think we're all interested to see how well Prim is going to be able to stave off the attack. Maybe not so well when no one's really here. Yeah, though, Austin, being that first one onto the side, is going to trip the wall and pull WashU back onto this A site. It's still taking them a lot of time to get anywhere, and it kind of took away the advantage of the run it back. You did pull all the utility away, but again, Defrone and this is insane. And then they still have their own run it back. That gives them all their HP, and they may even be able to grab someone on top of that.
Yeah, and this is just trading the utility, right? The Prowler, the Alarm Bot for this run it back. The Blaze want to scale up to confirm that so many players are pushed up.
Wait, no one realizes, right?
To Art, and as a result, yeah, the pressure here, now you're all looking flank, and all the players can just take the space on site, Sam.
Yeah, Austin by themselves a 1v3. You're blinded. You're just going to try and spray for whatever you can. Pray that someone's going to be hit. But prayers are not answered. Washington University and St. Louis Red confidently stepping into the double digits and winning their bonus.
Yeah. I mean, at this point for Akron Gold, we're kind of seeing similar issues to what we saw in their defensive half, right? They have a really hard time holding space. They were better at retaking it. They were better at pushing out, pushing forward, right? And that was the tendencies they wanted to have. And now, again, when they're trying to hunker down, like a lot of players in main, they don't really have a scattered approach. And I think this is partially because of the Vice util, right? The site was cleared out entirely by that run it back, so nobody else took that space, filled it in, right? Because they were cut off by the wall. So you got the spike down, yeah, but there was no control, no posts anywhere deeper. And that's where WashU just kind of filtered through everything. So this is what I did want to see. Say a little bit maybe of a mid-start, but it feels like they've been read like a book by WashU.
They absolutely have, right? Try to go push out through mid. And Darius Dinkle has been kind of insane with the Sheriff, but insanity is just in spades for Washington and U. Every single angle that Akron tries to answer, every single calling card that they try to throw against this squad has just been burned to a crisp. Curse, it's only 17 HP. Defrone doesn't even care, right? A 4K and a headshot? It almost feels like a nail in the coffin almost.
Yeah, and they wanted that kill or that death because that's the run it back now online once again. I feel like we saw it 2 rounds ago, and that's again the benefit and the reason why Phoenix has such a high pick rate on this map in particular. So again, gonna be a huge retake tool, gonna only make things a little bit trickier for Akron Gold, and this is a must round win, right? Lose it, you're broke. It's 12. Washington's news likelihood of stealing away your map pick sky high, and things just got a little bit more difficult. Thean, I mentioned the operator, we might see it just before the game is up. And Darius Dinkle, you Spike, you're alone. I'm glad you're not peeking B long.
Goodness gracious. I'd be a little nervous there. Yep, Primmy picking out through Art. Austin though, and a massive victory for this squad, was able to get the kill there. Defrone, again, it's that run it back, so you're just waiting. You're seeing how many players are ready to go out in this direction. That's enough information for Null, right, to just hold this angle with that judge if they push in through mid. They haven't done that quite yet. It's trying to stall this out for as long as they can, and especially when you don't have Primmy, you've gotten rid of all that Vice utility.
Exactly.
Akron just wants to go here. Meanwhile, no! They weren't watching out through mid. They weren't trying to protect that. Ruthless still has to keep the train moving and keep it going forward.
Yep. Little hot hands to heal the damage done by that backstab. But Ruthless is looking to fight forward instead. Players dropping like flies on WashU's side. Again, I think just Premi over peeking, soften to the A site. The perfect call comes out. And it's going to be hard to to get back into this round. Akron should stay afloat for the time being. 20 HP. Defrone's done it before. This time, the multi-kill. Very tall task.
She had to do it on 32 HP. Ruthless, all they needed to do was spam, even moving at Mach speeds. One shot was all it took. Akron Gold, finally, in their attacking half, is able to get that first round for themselves.
Absolutely. Now they're starting to, again, if they win this next round, they'll have a little bit more money to work with. They'll have a little bit, right, of an ult reserve going, and that's the difficulty when you're in this sort of position, right? Washington University and St. Louis Red is so comfortable, right? They'll have money for 2 more rounds at least, and by that time you'll have your big ult cycle, right, to lock in a 12th, to at least give yourself overtime, and then it's just preying on the mistakes of Akron Gold at that rate. So again, Akron Gold have to keep it clean, have to keep it stark, and that's why we're going to see the Dimensional Drift off the start, right? Don't want to risk anything. No duelists playing contact and losing their life as a result. Instead, you take the space off behind invulnerable clone.
And no, cannot go down here. And they need to keep themselves alive. Wow! Just enough of Austin's head for Thean to see and to shoot and to click. Now they're going to go for another swing here, right? But new changes into Pearl is going to protect our players here. Thean on a warpath. And even with that lockdown being used, right, you got to fight into it.
They might have enough time to respect it here, waiting for the regroup with the rest of the players over from A. There's no backstab, there's no nothing from Akron. It's just a duo playing Halls, and it's a player off site, and now they've been walled off. Cosmic Divide invested, clearing out Halls hand in hand here, Sam.
Yep, Atrium. This is a Bulldog, Bark. Darius Dinkle has to play on site. Wow. And the high-low far too difficult to deal with for them. Washington University and St. Louis Red, it's match point.
Once again, it's that inability to hold their ground. And Cursed, I think the idea there and why they felt the need to cross over, right, was because they didn't want 3 members bunched up back in halls, but even that went south. So, again, maybe they just need to take a little bit more time once to get on the site before planting to get into good positions, right? Toyed the idea of fighting into Link, into CT, right? Austin and Ruthless, they wanted to fight, like, super, super far forward, right? You remember the last half on that defense? Here, we're not seeing that same quality, that same tendency, and honestly, it's burning them. So, like you mentioned, match point, operator recovered, money blooming for Wash U, and on the other side of things, it's just a few hero rifles and light shields and the works to try and get Akron Gold through this next round.
All right, Austin, time to run it back. Into the first of smokes, clearing out Art. Problem is, no, waiting that out perfectly. Nah and Primmy both being a pain to everything against Akron Gold. And where it felt like Akron had some form of a plan, had some form of a shot, Washington University and St. Louis Red has crumpled it all down. They have Spike, they have almost every single player there, and Akron has to play into their hands.
Yeah, I mean, the silent skill up of A main, they didn't expect it. They weren't expecting Nah here and Art either. It's all down to Darius Dingle again, and only a Sheriff. The running gun Vandal can't get it done. That's a Phantom upgraded, but with such low HP and a Blade Storm hunting you down, how long will they survive, Sam?
Yeah, that's really the question, right? They're taking as many players as they can, but it doesn't matter when you're on match point. Whereas the Blades come out, but Thean doing it with a classic to give Washington University and St. Louis Red the win, 13-6.
Wow. I don't think I expected the map to be that one-sided. And again, it came out of Akron. I think just having the developments a little bit too late on the defense. Again, the fixes they had worked, and there just wasn't enough leeway when the round started going the way of WashU on that attack half, where we thought Akron would be favored. And honestly, I think this is your big difference, right? I feel like Defro and I feel like Thean were just able to hold their ground a little bit more than the duelists on the side of Akron. I mean, look at the first bloods, you look at the kills, you look at how consistently they were able to cycle those ultimates, and then you add in clutch factors like Nah, like Mr. One in the post plans, and this felt like the full package of a collegiate squad here, Sam.
Oh, it really did. And I liked the way that Washington University was able to adapt to a lot of the strategies that Akron was throwing at them, especially on the defensive half. It really never felt like, right, they were punishing them over and over again. They were able to come up with different adaptations on the fly for how they wanted to push onto some of these sites. And then once they pushed over into the defense, it felt so dominant in how they were able to get these reads onto Akron that Akron never really had the idea of what the answer could be against them, Zhobiii.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know what, Sam? I'm a little hungry, and I think the break is a great time to get a snack. And you know what I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking for some made in Wisconsin, goes great with gaming, Wenzel's Farm legendary Wisconsin meat sticks, which have been around since
Wow.
1977. All right, they got 14 mouth-watering flavors. You can meet your heart out with Wenzel's Farm legendary Wisconsin meat sticks. So, Sam, I'm gonna go look through those 14 flavors and figure out which one that I want to get, and we're gonna give our players a little bit of a breather before jumping into Map 2 of Division 3 semifinals.
Welcome back, everyone. Washington University in St. Louis Red taking the win on Pearl 13-6 against Akron Gold, putting them one map away from stepping into the grand finals. Zhobiii, things are looking pretty interesting here, though, as we go into Bind, which is going to be Washington U's map pick.
Yeah, I wish I could say it's, brighter pathing, better course, easier to sail forward for Akron Gold, but it's only going to get more difficult from here if they want to reverse sweep to keep their chances at the grand finals for Division 3 alive, because this is a map where they've won it once, they've lost it once, so coin flip, and it is undefeated from Washington University in St. Louis. 3-0 right now in this season. And I said it, I was like, if they don't ban it, this is immediately the pick, right, for you, Wash, and that's exactly how it went. So again, I think at the core, I felt like we saw you Wash win the veto, if especially they won map 1 of Pearl, and that they did. So coming into Bind, what do you want to see out of Akron that we didn't see on map 1, and what do you think we're going to get compositional wise?
I think when we look at how Akron was playing on Pearl, right, it was sort of the same rope procedures over and over again. I think branching out and trying some of those more gamble plays. You even mentioned it in Pearl, trying something that you normally wouldn't, especially when you think of the way that you are playing as Yoru or you have Phoenix, right? Sure, you want to be aggressive, you want to go for some of those crazy things, but sometimes you also need to reel it back in. And then other times you need to just throw it back out there. But yeah, we're getting a look at the agent select, and Wash U, this is nothing out of the ordinary for them when it comes to Bind, this sort of hyper-aggressive play style. Whereas on Akron's side, also similar traits, but a little bit more rooted in how Bind is played.
Yeah, I haven't seen a breach since some darkest days of Northwood on Vine, so I'm excited to see that. But I agree, I think that one is very catered to the map versus maybe Wash U's is catered to them. But there's so many role swaps as well, and I'm curious to see how it's gonna go. Right now was just on controller, Defron was just on duelist, right? Mr. One was on initiator. So all these change ups left, right, and center. I'm curious to see how it's going to fare. I think Mr. One I can definitely see going to town on this Defron too, with the aggressive tendencies we saw in the Phoenix. So we'll see if they translate, or if we may be, as a result of this composition, heading towards Haven.
Well, we'll see. But for them, I think this just fits perfectly into their playstyle, right, Zhobiii, where Wash U just loves pushing the envelope. And I think even too, for them starting off on an attack with a composition like this, the sustainability, the firepower, and the information gathering potential. No way you're gonna do it again. This time, punished Austin. Not going very far, but is still being thrown right back into the face of Wash U. Tried to go for something big here, but instead rebuked. Corners. Yeah.
Uka can be deadly, but this is what you mentioned about the playstyle matching the new roles, right? Nah, was that lurk player over on Pearl. They've done it yet again, all the way through the B side. The cam now sets up the front for this fighter, for this cross. They thought the ruse goes up, but Curse just shoots right through it. It's thin, it's broken through, and now they know the cam was there, so they can expect Nah a little bit deeper into the B side, but they're not quite sure how deep. So the teleport comes through to start re-clearing the space sands.
Yeah, it's going to be so tough, though, for Nah to fight against everyone else. And when you're face-to-face with Ruthless, who is one of the heavy hitters coming out of Pearl, thirsting for blood. Yeah, Akron Gold, finally, though, in this series, able to get their first pistol.
Yeah, perfect way to get the ball rolling. And again, after we mentioned Wash, you started on attack on Pearl as well. We thought that it could be a dominant streak, but that was nice from Akron. I feel like they're still taking the risks that we saw in the defense over on Pearl. The trade was cleaner this time than over on Pearl, number one. They're in a shower. And number two, I feel like WashU got a little bit more splintered than they were over on Pearl. And then that's where players like we saw Curse truly shine over in Hookah. So, Eco this time, is it just one stinger or did they all four stingers? Now I'm scared, Sam. I see Nah with a stinger and I'm like, what is going on?
I think it was three stingers. Yeah, okay, all right. Never mind, Nah, backing off, but it's just a stinger, right? You're gonna take couple of shots from what I assume to be a judge, and then Atrium finishing it off with, the Spectre. It doesn't matter if Washington U has some of these forced up stingers or whatever. Atrium is going to throw it right back in their face, but looking down at the lip of the window, Primi forced back and away by the judge, and then thrown into their face yet again by Atrium and that Spectre. But never mind where I was lambasting the stinger play. Austin has to go back and forth, right? It's Raze v Raze, but by doing this, right, you have set them up for Theon to come back and fight you in the middle of the defuse.
Oh my goodness. I thought that was for sure an Akron gold round after they could not get control back over Hookah in time. And again, it was step by step WashU making the correct decisions, right? Again, we mentioned that they realized they lost control of Hookah. That fight came a little rocky, a little late. And I thought they were going to get oppressed by the people CT, but then you have players, again, like Theon fighting forward into CT. You dethrone Soul Anchor in the site finding 2 with the Stinger. And then the jiggle spray with the Stinger for Theon to clutch on to Austin, who's just trying to get it to half, is crazy. So we're tied 1-1. Akron not getting the start that they want off that pistol win. And now, I mean, it's similar setup, but we're not going to be sure how the execution goes this time around, with WashU leaning a little bit slower this time towards an ace split.
Yeah, still very cautious. Even with some of that better firepower in their hands. Not gonna leave anything to chance. Theon, hero of the last round. Wait for the smoke to dissipate. Nah, blown by themselves. Wasn't quite ready for the trade from Atrium. Gets away with that relatively scot-free. Finally, though, making their move. Washington University flying inside of Lambs. Gets the double kill. And that may have just thrown Akron into all kinds of chaos. Ruthless swings out of the smoke, takes their pot shots with the Sheriff, only to be gunned down by Primi. Atrium, the talk of the town from the previous round. And not much more that they can do here, right? It's just a Spectre. You get a slight upgrade, but once you swing out of that smoke, whether it's going to be inside of Lamp, onto the side itself, Mr. Juan gonna rip you to pieces with that Outlaw.
All right, Sam, you can't say just a Spectre after we saw Theon get in insane fashion. I mean, obviously that's true to the player, maybe not the weapon, just how they wield it, but again, that has been a memorable part of what's kickstarted these early halves in favor of Washington U. Like that has been super, super impressive, to say the least. And now, I mean, weapons getting upgraded, keeping a few of them here and there. Theon, I mean, just a further menace. The flexibility they've had from, again, being that super heavy sniper rifle player over on Pearl to now the shotguns with the Rays. Like, they're matching the agents and what they do super, super well. And Mr. Juan's the one kind of pivoting off them, taking their weapons from prior rounds, taking the Outlaw to shut down egos, and that is
excuse
criminal.
me?
That's criminal.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's the ult, too. So now Defrone can be the entry.
And Defrone could be the entry. Speaking of, right, new territories here for Clove. Slight nerf on their heal and only use one smoke in the throes of death, but it doesn't really seem like that matters very much. Losing out on,
If they get this call into the Omen, it's full speed ahead towards this rotate. If they fall, things get a little bit dicier. And that's why I think the reposition comes through. That's why the Dark Cover for Hookah comes through. They know that this rotate is coming because there's no re-engagement towards A. And that's why I need Primi with the Sova to put some pressure there.
Yeah, you gotta be the one to win this. Nah, cannot lose this battle against Atrium. Smoke disc.
What time
so
is that?
close. Wow. Right? Atrium had been holding that for so long. Nah. Looks away for just a second. Tries to flick back over, but Atrium a step ahead of the game.
What?
They're stepping into the shadows? Yeah.
Primi needed to get seen or destroyed there. Because now you have no grounds deep A, no TP stakes. You're just walking into the ace site. And Atrium with that TP, I think he's just been spotted.
He has been. How is Atrium getting away with some of these engagements,
It's because he
Zhobiii?
didn't have a Spectre.
Yeah, no, right? He went from a Spectre to a Phantom, so he's still a ghost in the night, but Primi, it's by themselves, and I mean, you got 12 seconds left, and you got to get onto the site to get the spike. Yeah, that's tough, tall orders here. Save the weapon, go next.
Yeah, this makes sense. Delay utility from the fault line, Omen playing conduct, the low HP player, and you keep, right, Curse tucked away, alive, safe, going for the pinch, because they would be there if time did go south. So here we go, weapon saved. Equated back to 2-on-2, which is how Pearl went, not in this fashion. But that's when we started seeing that differentiation, Sam. And that's where, again, we look towards Akron to have a little bit faster developments than last time, and we look towards WashU. Again, usually they had really good decision making, like over on Pearl. Here I'm seeing questionable late round plays. Like again, from Primi there, I needed more like pressure. Like I didn't see the point of his lurk in that situation. Like there wasn't much grounds for it. It just lightened then the exec on B.
Exactly. Feeling a little nervous here for Atrium. How many players walking their way? Good decision making though to just back off and leave a smoke behind. Curse still inside of Hookah, waiting for that eventual lurk player or even some of the other coming up through here. Not seen by the cam, which is vital to some of the success that could have happened here. But as they get spotted out by the cam and the spy cam dart, they have to try and get away as quickly as they possibly can. Walls coming up though, protecting them and keeping themselves safe. Help to secure their escape vector. Austin missing those shots, so detrimental. Thankfully, Curse has a trade out onto Mr. One. Things are still even back around, but Washington University is just struggling to get onto any site.
This is the first time they forced them back from the chokes, though, right? Garden, Hookah. And now the question is, where do you take it? Do you fight an elbow? Do you leave the phone to hold it? And the answer is the latter. Kill found. They know they had the not dead yet if they did lose the 1v1, and that is huge, right? That was where I thought the stack of players in elbow could make a difference, and Defrone is just being a consistent threat here, looking for now a second.
Ooh, that slight move forward from the fault line could have done something there, but Defrone is quick. No, you can't just leave Nah in the corner. You can't just leave him there. They did, and Defrone's even going to throw in the not dead yet to really seal the deal on this round for Washington University.
When Nas being a little whiffy, I can see why the not dead yet comes back in. But, you know, that flash timing is criminal, right? Right before the cage gets popped, so you're blinded and can't provide any information to your team, who is now frantically trying to protect you in that corner as well. So, all in all, though, great side hold, and that's where, again, Washington University has thrived. Akron. I need to see, again, a little bit more confidence in these retakes and these forward fights, and we're going back to, again, a double up towards Shower, and then we're going back to WashU. I think we're going heavier towards short because we got a showstopper. We got a Hunter's Fury. We can go dive bombing into this B site.
Just go for it, Thea, and there we are. The double satchel on top of you.
There's somebody in Shower and they don't know.
The showstopper shot inside of the smoke, but much more can you get beyond that? Both showstoppers being used and exchanged out. Neither one really gaining much ground from there. Mr. Wan has the first blood. There's some chip damage coming around from that, from the paint shells, but yeah, spike planted. It's a 5v4.
Okay. First time we're seeing the flank tested as well. Cursed, only a judge in hand. Timing might get missed, Primmy. Good double back here. And in the meantime, they're just looking for an overswing to come from WashU, and they're not peeking anything because they don't have to. They're just waiting to receive this pressure.
They had to be so careful. Primmy, seeing Curse.
Hunter's Fury.
Well, now we have that back on the flip side. They have to get rid of this Sova. They cannot let them.
They're sicking.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I got a little scared. I got a little nerve-wracking in the end, but Washington University does manage to push it over the finish line.
I was just like a teeter-totter, and it was fairly well balanced until Defrone just fights forward instead. I think Defrone, that was good. I think it was good decision-making in the moment. Like, I can hear the frantic calms where it's like, Primmy's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to ult, right? Like, literally, Curse was there as that pressure point to stop them from pulling out the Hunter's Fury so they could try to get on the spike. So Defrone's like, don't worry, I got it. Just stay alive. Try to shut down the Viper while I go to work on site. Because, yeah, players like Mr. One, players like Thean were getting dropped pretty handily on the site after that paint shell was exhausted. So, didn't go their way. Washington University and St. Louis Red pull ahead 4-2. Money, that was kind of a half-buy situation from Akron Gold, so we'll see what this round looks like. And again, it's this tag team nature of Hookah. They busted through it once. Can they do it again?
Something they only saw the one. Akron Gold really feeling the pressure.
Oh, the re-clear again? No, I've seen this before. PTSD setting in.
And try and take some crazy chances here. This is gonna be weird too, right? Akron's gonna kind of like regroup with each other in a weird fashion, but it doesn't really matter because the spike is planted. Seen once by the tripwire, Na's gonna be right here, but you didn't have your weapons out. In comes the neural theft, seeing exactly where all of Akron Gold is hiding out in. There's more Cyphers gonna have to try and fight through so much. And maybe a double kill here out in Sands, but now the bloodbath has truly begun a 3v3.
I don't know how I feel about Thean playing here. I would have gone for the wrap, because if that wall comes up, you're playing with deterred HP. So Defrone realizes this, gets the ruse to get out, but the players are upping like flies. A 1v2 for Thean, and he has been dropped. Ruthless fighting forward. Cursed on the spike. It's going to be close, but nick of time. Just about 2.5 seconds left. The Thrifty comes through for Akron Gold.
Yeah, we're talking about that questionable decision-making in the late round from WashU. Well, that was an exemplar.
Hesitation.
Yeah, it's hesitation and then just throwing yourselves into battles you think you're gonna win and not giving Akron the proper respect that they're due. And it's in those situations where some of that overconfidence is really bearing against you. I watched you fumbled that a little bit, right? Not could have been that information gatherer, and then Akron just takes that information, watching you rather just takes that information and plays towards side more.
It was also tunnel vision, right? Once they saw the players, 3 strong coming from spawn, they forgot about the Sands contact they made off of sound cues. But speaking of contact made, again, the consistent start for Akron Gold has been 1 to 2 players fighting for shower control. So on that doorway choke, you get some chip damage there off the Hunter Shuri. It's a nice start. There's no follow-up. It was slow. And now look at the reclear coming through immediately. How far did the reach and fade go on Akron? Do you go all the way?
Have to, right? Yeah, no, that's exactly what they're looking for here. And it comes out with a big victory against Primi. Darius Dinkle barely taking any damage for their efforts either. Defrone and Odin in hand. Switching it back over for the Phantom.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Maybe thinking that they can get away with a little bit more from that, but Washington University, right? They've lost a duelist, they've lost an initiator, so they're really feeling the effects of that in Akron. This high-low right here, out through showers, Theon was not ready for it in any way. In comes the Prowler, and Ruthless could even play off of this with a flashbang. Yep, there it is. Flashbang comes through. Defrone not blinded by that. Nearsight comes in and said, right, they're taking so long to take this fight. Nah.
Fight.
Wow. Pulls the rug right out from underneath them with a double kill.
Just sponge absorbing on the utility. That was Defrone baiting for the perfect double kill, like you mentioned, from Gnaw. This gives them an opening to the side, but with the Viper rotating over, they're just going to pad the time. Wait for their teammates to rotate ideally. Paint Shell goes out. Curse holds the inevitable escape angle, and it's all down to Gnaw. 10 seconds left in the 1v3.
Yeah, just fire through the smoke. Do whatever you can if you're Gnaw. I think the real importance here is to try and stay alive, but try as you might. Feeling a little over-eager again in these engagements. Curse gets rid of them. Akron Gold tying it up.
Yeah, I think a big difference here that's keeping things close is I'm looking back at Pearl, right? And we're looking at players like Theon, who was all the way down Belong. Looking at players like Null, who was all the way down in Connector. We'd see the Vice, right? All the way down A main, right? They were getting so many options on the table and following through with them, right? And they could just get sites for free, right? There wasn't reclear. There wasn't, again, these up-close personal off angles. And that's what Akron Gold has this time around, right? And so, again, I think now we're talking about WashU is underestimating Akron just a little bit. And now, I mean, they have money, they have ults. Your money has been shocked, right? Minus some hero rifles for Mr. Juan, and I like the answer to fighting a shower, but maybe not with one player.
Okay, all right. Defrone not being slowed down, right? They picked themselves up and they are speeding onto the side. But even with that, right, they were on there. It's just not deposited inside of lamps. They're trying to make decisions about where they really want to go. And I think a lot of this plan is hinging on Nah getting away with something.
Yeah, I actually do like this a lot. The Viper's Pit went down, number 1. Number 2, since the Viper did ult likely from long, since you didn't see the pit in Hookah when you TP'd, you should know that it's a little bit weaker there, which has been the problem zone. My concern is if Primi falls here, you have to fight back in Hookah to get the spike retrieved. But otherwise, yeah, Nah can get a kill here. Maybe you call them back to the A site because you still have players Deep Fountain, you still have Primi Deep Sand. But that's the thing is, Nah has not found this kill yet, and Darius Dinkle is holding the angle, so it'll be a difficult find with a Stinger this long range.
No, it really is. This is brilliant work from Akron to just hold their ground.
I thought Curse was going to swing through the wall, go for the reclear. Speaking of reclear, though, Atrium almost gets jumping on Primi, but it's going to come off that recon bolt, I think, acting as the first contact when they actually finally exploded at this B site. Yep.
Yeah, finally something happening here.
15 seconds.
Nah has their chance and an opportunity. Darius Dinkle smart enough went in against that, but the problem is you're running out of time. You're running out of opportunities. You need to get the spike planted. Delayed out. They got it just in the nick of time.
Yeah, no Rolling Thunder comes through. Instead, just going to play, though, 2v2 square with them direct instead for the re-entry.
And Mr. Juan caught inside of the middle of that. Defrone bringing themselves back up from the dead. Mr. Juan knows where Ruthless is, looks behind them, takes the 1, heals themselves back up to full, blinded out maybe one more time, but Ruthless standing tall and firm against the tidal wave that has been this Reina. Akron Gold in the lead.
Wow, 5 to floor flipping the strip there, just out of bullets. Unfortunate for Mr. Juan, and another pivotal clutch position for the team. The first shot was clean, the overheal was good. Again, the flashes didn't let them take the proper angles, and The pre-fire to cloud the noise of jumping up on hut is what wasted enough bullets probably to get the job done. It's so unfortunate. Now you can see the confidence in Akron. Even come the operator by coming online for Austin has been toying around playing this truck position. Has gotten this could work out in their favor.
Could. Hopefully, potentially, but what can also work out in their favor is Austin getting rid of Meester 1 with the first shot of their operator. Now trying to take as much space as they can before they can get set up once more, Washington University. But the problem is, right, you still have that one player inside of Showers, which you have to be so careful of. Nah. And take that engagement against Darius Dinkle, but thinking wiser otherwise. But wait a second here, Zhobiii. Look at who's coming up through flank that they will not be ready for. It's Atrium. Thankfully, though, Theon had gone all the way up through. But are they ready? They don't even have the spike, though, is the biggest issue. Ooh, you don't clear that corner?
Yeah, Akron is so sneaky this map instead of direct, and it is working out in spades. No, last one standing, they knew they were Shower, but lose the engagement, you lose the engagement. 1v2, hat comes off, they know where they are, but can they fight them both simultaneously?
Try to isolate the one as best you can, no. But it doesn't matter.
No.
When Curse is shooting like that. Nah, bro.
Nah.
Curse said, nah, not today.
Nah, not today. And that's 6 rounds for Akron here. We mentioned this map was kind of a coin flip, right? With 1 win, 1 loss, right? But that was also earlier in the season, right? A 13-9 victory against Mitsu Lightning. And then 7-13 loss against UM Flint Blue, right? Their only loss in the entire season so far. So that was over a month ago at this point. So clearly changes coming through. Maybe the new meta benefiting them, or maybe it's the off-meta composition from WashU having some difficulties. But gotta tackle one obstacle at a time. That starts with us this time, because it's an eco. They can have the outlaw instead of the full swing of the operator, and we'll see if it finds similar impact, or if the showstopper can finally address the shower control.
Oh! Well, definitely address something. But are they ready to address that Ruthless is still here? Yeah, Defrone.
Right here.
No
Smacked in the face, but they're alive. They're still standing.
I have the spike.
They've gotten Permeate deposited here like multiple rounds on the AXX, but when they cut noise, nobody moves from Akron. Now you have Austin that can nade exactly where these two players are, and yeah, the Empress can dismiss away, but you're sacrificing the HP of Primi in the process. No, I need to see them group up here because they might just be missing the timing.
Wow. Inside of Shower. No. Again, ripped to shreds by Cursed. Akron Gold beating their score on Pearl and securing the first half no matter what happens in this final round.
Yeah, there's just a major disconnect in timing from Washington University and St. Louis Red, right? Like, they understand that the issues that they're having on the A side is not addressing this triple side, is not addressing this shower control. So that's what they tried to do with not coming up late, with the showstoppering in. But it's always this tag team between Ruthless and Darius Dinkle that is so hard to get through, right? They're both, like, good for their own, and usually multi-kills. Ruthless now back-to-back rounds, in fact. And so, honestly, maybe I want to see a 5 through shower kind of play, right? Not in this round when you don't have ults, and they have ults to kind of shoulder you back, but we'll see how they fare for the time being. Finally trying to challenge these controllers that have been the standout towards B. Flushes them out with the Zhobiii util, looking good to at least get onto the site for the time being.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how scared WashU is about getting on the site when you have so much utility, when you have a Sova, when you have Raze who gets Satchel. Yeah. Finally being dumped though. Aw, gets the first blood. Not quite able to flick back over onto Atrium's head. The Nightfall distracting well enough, and my word from Akron, they are steamrolling through them. A 3K for Darius Dinkle and an 8-4 first half.
Wow, 8-4 for Akron. Great turnaround. Setting us up for what feels like going blow for blow, taking each other's map picks, but
switching sides.
I think Washington University, it was the big picture that was lacking there with some of the timings versus on Pearl, right? It felt like it was so seamless, right? Like they were always coming together at the perfect time, or more so Akron wasn't punishing these solo engagement players, and this they did that half. So now coming in the next half, Washington University, I'm hoping they have a little bit more fleshed out of a defense, right? This was their undefeated map this season, Sam, and I just have not seen why yet, and I want to see some reasons.
Yeah, I want to see those reasons too, right? You chose this comp that has that potential to be in your face at all times, and
Yeah.
a lot of those instances, it felt like they were just lurking onto the site. Unless Thean had a showstopper, we rarely saw the Rays being that leader of the pack for the squad. But now finally, yeah, see what they're like on the defense. Sailing right over to Frone. Gets the headshot that they needed, especially since an outlaw was in their face. First blood going over towards them. Akron, head cut off, but body still maneuvering, trying to feel their way through the rest of this round. Ian just backs off, waits for a better opportunity. Mr. Juan, this misses inside a shower. It's back and forth affair though. WashU still slightly in better territory, and with those final few picks, yeah, Curse by themselves, managed to restabilize and get the pistol for them.
Okay, a little fight back, a little bite back here, trying to remedy that pistol record after losing the first. I don't see a Stinger Force in the cards for Akron when you're up this far. That's one way to hand the comeback to Washington University in St. Louis Red. So another familiar buy up, close range, long range, and the double snipe I'm excited to see from Thean and Meester once, since we only saw one of them doing it in the prior half. Also, the Frone follows. I think Thean and this Spectre is going to be a great combination, but outside of that, looking towards, again, what's the eco idea from Akron, right? Just classics, a blazing. Do you go shower? Do you go short? It's like 4 strong shower, the lurk of the Viper off the wall, but you're staring down again at firing range with plenty of targets.
Yeah, and we know what Thean's like with this. Marshall, maybe not quite as disastrous this time around, but utility really being the talk for Washington University. Right, gets 1 kill with the pain shell, gets 1 with the shock darts, and then the Frone working off the back of that owl drone. Cursed has managed to weasel their way, slithered their way rather, forward inside of lamps, but no, it's not going to leave that unprotected.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Mr. One going and clearing all of short in the meantime, so you're kind of just knocking down every possible opportunity with each passing second, and all indicators and signs are leaning towards someone here in U-Haul. It's just, you're waiting for them to make a move, because you know they have to, because they're not going to save a pistol. And you don't want to lose any more weapons, right? 2 players super low HP. You want to carry the Outlaw, the Spectre, the Judge, the Guardian, all forward into the next round for a maybe bonus attempt.
And wall's gonna go up, but no matter where Curse goes, it's either into Gnaw or it's gonna be into Mr. One.
I just don't understand why he's waiting this long. Like you're not saving a classic. Okay, I was gonna say you're not AFK. I was about to say, and you're fighting the player with the most HP. I would have been like teammates who has less HP, so I can maybe get the job done. But at least you take some shields with you. That's the only takeaway I'd say from this eco round for Akron Gold is, yeah, 3 players having to repurchase up, but it's 8-6.
Yeah, fairly steady goings here for Washington University on the defensive half.
Night and day second rounds, we'll put it that way, from the Stinger Force of WashU in the previous. And that goes back to the confidence that we said, that they've kind of like, they've had like confidence dips on both sides across these 2 maps, and it's been interesting to see. And WashU feel like they're regaining that confidence, while Akron's now like starting to trend off, and that's not going to be a good trade back for a comeback in the making.
All right. Bring force away by the Prowler, but yet again, Thean's pain shells getting away with far more than what they should be. Poor Fade, stuck inside of their Prowler, couldn't get away from the nades at their feet. Atrium, though, still gonna try and get ahead of the curve, but my goodness, that recon bolt tearing them to pieces. Wasn't inside of lamps, but it's just a Judge. They may be able to grab a weapon from one of their fallen comrades. It's unreal how much value. Oh! How do they know? No.
PC check, don't know.
Wait, what world?
Nah for that shot. But
Hit the replay system.
Number 1, we need to okay, Primi with the Sova pick is it's unconventional for Vine, and it is just reaping the rewards, right? The only trade-off you'd argue is like, oh, but the Fate has the Seize Nade trap plays. Well, then how is Steven still getting nade kills, huh?
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't even matter. And now with the money reset for Akron Gold, with that 3rd round converted, Washington using the driver's seat to tie us back up 8-8, Sam.
It's been crazy from Washington University in St. Louis Red. And Akron Gold has no clue what they want to do right now, how they want to answer against this fight. Mr. Juan is just a casual peek outside of hookah. Hit the headshot. Ruthless, though, thankfully. Right, still there.
What
Waiting
phantom?
for someone else maybe to peek out, but they're not going to fall into that trap. Not just yet.
Yeah, they know somebody's probably bodyguarding this weapon, right? And is doing exactly that. The recall comes through off the boom bot as well to get Thean back on the line. If he opts to take it, it's going to be the hot side one and through
Yeah,
the smoke.
okay,
Another
whatever.
PC check, please. That one's not a headshot, at least. It's
Yeah,
a little
whatever.
bit more manageable, reasonable, but Spike been hovering, so no information about that coming through just yet, but I do like this regroup to try and get the Phantom, but as soon as it's collected, as soon as Nom makes contact, that's when you'll ideally have the TP player come out, so they know it's a bait in the trap just waiting.
Yeah, they're going to try and fault line this, but no one's really pushed up far
Thean's
enough
walking
to...
down.
30
Yeah,
Oh
even try and get that.
no.
Yeah, look at this too. This is good from Washington U.
It's perfect.
You realize how much space you can gain, how much something can be done with anything. Good recognition here, though, from Akron that someone would be inside of there. But finally, though, the lurk up from Thean paying off in spades. Washington University and St. Louis Red is tied 8-8.
Yeah, I mean, that was the insurance policy, right? They know that that kind of crossfire was fragile, that it was putting a lot of pressure on their Primi, so they knew they were good for their one, but maybe not both, and so that's where that exact plan comes through. Thean now upgrading to the operator here. We kind of got a taste of it, like a trial, right? Over on Pearl, because the game was winding down, but it might be what sets up their half for success here, and just the difference here as well. You had the double controller hold on the defense for Akron last half. It's solo trust and null in a retake game, right? Out of Wash U, and with the Hunter's Fury and a Showstopper, maybe the Hunter's Fury can support halfway through, but it's the rotation game. Look, every player vacating the A site, they are so certain that this is going to be a B follow through, and for the time being, no indicators point elsewhere.
Yeah, Nal's just in garden, right? They're waiting. Here comes the first flashbang. No! I don't know how Atrium was able to recover that, but it doesn't really seem to matter very much. Thean's landing their shot. Primi's finishing off this Omen with a Hunter's Fury.
Wait a minute.
These are Juan may even be crazy enough to jump inside of
Do
Hookah.
it.
Yeah,
Do it,
right?
the devil on your shoulder, do it.
Right, you're right to do it. Never
Now they're
mind.
too late. Now there would be like a high-low. There'd be like guaranteed trades.
Maybe? Okay.
You still have Showstopper.
Yeah. Still have a Showstopper, but it's Thean we're talking about here, for goodness sake. With an operator. Yeah.
Gee.
Didn't want to waste too much more time, but Darius Dingle had the spike. Now they have to play into that spike, Zhobiii. And that's quite problematic when you see all the players that you're working against. Kursk at the one, wasn't ready for Primi, still there to be the knife in their back. As Washington University and St. Louis Red gets the lead.
Yeah. Not quite sure where the angle there was for the spike bear swinging back sight. That kill, the spike dropping, is what I think destroyed the round, right? You plant, you get a little bit like towards the extremities, things go very, very differently, but it was out and open. They know that it was going to get planted anytime soon, and that's when Washington University hit the go button to re-clear the rest of the site space. And I won't say we're done and dusted just yet, while indicators are pointing towards double digits for WashU, just because look at the ults, right? Stinger, Spectre. We'll see if that's enough to get Akron through this round and get a thrifty on the table, but little switch up this time around. I like this, right? You think about last round, they cleared Null like easily for Atrium. So now it's Null baiting for the Reina so that that player can find the kills. Meantime, Boombot. This was an effective fake. I think they realized how fast rotation came through last round.
Yeah, they're trying to figure it out. Again, though, Washington University is not playing into that. And because
I'll find you.
the lack of noise coming from Akron,
Yeah.
that's enough of a warning sign for WashU to just get out of here. Yeah, and the second they pop that Showstopper, it's get the heck out of Dodge. Meanwhile,
There's
Austin is being
nobody there.
seen by that recon bolt and even delayed out by the decay here. Somehow, though, Curse is going to get the pick off onto Mr. Wan with the Stinger who came in through TP. And Austin gets away with another one. That could set Akron up for the success that they need, especially as the spike is planted.
Yeah, I mean, not just the 3v4, but with a Vandal in hand as well. So, have relinquish weapon of choice here. No? Given the 1v1, they peeled off from each other here, Sam.
Yeah, but Ruthless is still there, ready to go with a
Rolling
headshot.
Thunder.
And the Rolling Thunder online. Even get the Vandal now to work with.
Thrifty.
Ian determined to clear that corner instead, costing them their lives. And that's going to be a 50 here for Akron Gold to keep Bind in contention. Not only that, Zhobiii, right, but this is their first round on their attack half.
No, absolutely. And again, it was a dire moment. The fact that they did that kind of play, that kind of plan in just the buy phase, no timeout taken, no nothing, super, super impressive. Very well layered from the fake out to the aggression. Like you mentioned, yeah, maybe there wasn't enough noise on B that the players started to rotate back, but that's where the showstopper comes in, right? And even though they don't find a kill with it, just the scare impact, right? You saw it was Defrone vacate all the way from like U-Haul back into CT. Grouping up with Ian, and again, that's what the Bucky got on the line, got a kill, and now Defrone, hot water here in short.
Hey, yikes. How they are still this far forward is unbelievable. How they get a double kill is even more unreal.
They have the ult now too, so they can keep fighting.
Yeah, exactly. They want to keep going for this. They're inside of their pick-me-up. They're inside, well, they're outside of that smoke. Wow. Thean, it was just a call in the dark, a shot in the dark. Seeing enough of Darius Dinkle's little hands. Man, Akron Gold looked so good in that previous half, but Washington University and St. Louis Red throws it back in their face with a flawless.
Wow. They realized they were giving a little bit too much respect, too much space to Akron, right? And again, partially off that showstopper. They realized that, okay, they weren't giving us any information to go off of, so we'll find our own. And honestly, Defrone, yeah, was the one fronting the kills there towards short, but none of them were made possible without Thean, right? You had, number one, that paint shell is what allowed two players to get pushed into the ruse while two fell back, which allowed no tradability. And then second, right, there was a hard clear coming in from Darius Dinkle, and Thean is the one that ops them and keeps Defrone alive. So, partners in crime, like you mentioned, get double digits in flawless fashion for Washington University. And I honestly, I respect Akron for this decision, right? They're like, it can't happen twice, right?
Surely not. Defrone still sees another. Oh, whoa. Okay, you're just going to do that right in their face. But really, it's all just about the information gathering game. Here comes the Rolling Thunder. Primi. Seen out. Mr. Juan. Oh, this is going to be this. That was going to have to be big from Austin. But no, protecting these angles for their.
One enemy remaining.
For the help here. Thean and Mr. Juan, the double duelist composition. Really showing off and bearing its fangs. Clean, easy pickup with the with the shorty rather. Washington University and St. Louis Red. It's 2 more rounds.
Yeah, it's interesting to finally see both teams have the same issue, addressing Shower and triple side control, right? The one player wasn't able to clean things up. Maybe a little bit of a miscom because it felt like they didn't expect Mr. Juan to still be there, even though he's the one that got the kill super deep into Showers. So, again, that cost them the round. Again, aren't able to get deep enough control towards the A site. And like you mentioned, it is 11, and it's a similar position as last map, right? Where if you lose this round, you're broke and it's 12 for Washington University. The difference is that you're eliminated from Grand Finals, continue go to that third place matchup, and that's where Akron did win at least the one over on Pearl when they were in this position.
They did. They're gonna have to win it now. Ian, it's that operator though. Deadly as ever.
Showstopper.
Another first blood going over to them, and it's like you said, showstopper. Ready to go if they need to get it. And you're even kind of scaring Akron to try and grab that spike. But yeah, right, you've lost your primary info gathering initiator. Where do you go from here?
You satchel out, yeah, the possibility of this diagonal chamber trip, cypher trip. Oh, please hit it. It's so difficult. And then you just immediately snipe Thean. Showstopper is the only thing I think they would have to hold this ground, so giving up here I think is smart. The other Rays seem smarter, scaling off the aftershock with the judge to this close corner. Can they get the kill?
Yeah, what's more powerful in close quarters combat, right? Is it gonna be Thean? No.
There it is.
Didn't even realize that Austin had pushed that far forward into the corner. Defrone, trying to be a little bit ahead of the game where Austin could potentially be. But this Rays has been a menace with the judge. Primi may have been able to bring down the op to heal, but not ruthless. Akron Gold staving off Washington U's win and fighting back.
They get the pick of the weapons as well to move forward on the next round. Austin deciding as well to just buy up the judge once again. Savasky's teammates for an investment. Honestly, it's been working out for him. He's been a great entry tool, making that space that last round required. Now their own showstopper online to confront that of Thean. But this is the change up, and this is what we want to see, right? Washington University, as soon as they lose a round or they have consistent rounds with the same ideas, they switch things up. Last round it was the operator on B. This time it's the Empress. It's Mr. Juan over towards B. Again, figure out what works, what doesn't, as you start losing these rounds one after another. And again, 1 round differential between these two. Things are getting tight.
Yeah, they are. Starting to feel a little bit more that pressure if you're Washington University, especially in a pivotal round where if they lose this.
Ow.
Curse had lurked so far forward up there, hasn't done that in quite some time that Primi could not have been ready for the scale up from here. Mistral, what a dismiss! What a fight back from Mr. One! Saving the round for this team and giving Washington University and St. Louis Red match and series point.
Whew, I said the switch up, the fix could be to put the Reyna on B side. I did not expect it to be in that fashion. I mean, just the perfect timing there, and then the trips to delay so Darius Dingle couldn't get the trade, right? Like immediately, because they were so focused on that and the spray coming from elbow. Everything came together down to the final redismiss for the bait as well on to the hookah player, which is Curse rotating back over after finding a kill towards A. So the difference here is that, again, they won the round they needed to. They have another bye to front the bill to get them towards 11. And that would set them up for that OT 11-12 mark. But again, you cannot drop the ball now.
No, you can't. You absolutely cannot. I mean, DeFront is just spraying. They don't realize Primi's here. Lurked all the way up to take these fights. Poked a little too far forward, but Mr. One had pushed out through long. This is all falling apart for Akron Gold. They had to push in onto the side, but Thean, that's crazy. They popped the showstopper. Austin upgrading to the operator. But it doesn't matter because they don't have the spike, Zhobiii.
Yeah. With low HP for Defrone. There's an opportunity, I think, to stabilize things here for Akron, but Crossfire set, they've got to be careful with how they reclaim this sand space, like you mentioned, trying to get back to the spike, camera holding long. They should know at this rate that they're all going to come out of hookah, and I don't really see Washington University framed for that factor, that follow-through.
All right, here comes one poison orb. DeFrone knows someone has said that nightfall could be everything. Mr. One again! How they keep getting away with everything!
Defenders win.
Almost poetic that they get the final. Washington University and St. Louis Red going into your grand finals.
Wow, I mean, from the insane Mr. One clutch that kick-started, like, I feel like the confidence for Washington University and St. Louis Red to the fact that they were the closer for the final 2 rounds to punch their ticket to the grand finals, like, this team is one not to trifle with. And again, I feel like I thought this series was going to be a bit more competitive. This map, I think, was that full display of what I was expecting, maybe in all 3 maps, but again, they leaned into what was comfortable for them compositionally wise. They didn't care what the meta was, like what Akron was playing, and well, Akron had the defense figured out, it felt like, right? And they had that advantage. Once they got the sides swapped, we just didn't see that same firepower.
No, we didn't. Still, though, I do want to say for Akron, seeing the way that they were able to fight back on what has been a popular map for Washington, I think for what this team has been looking for and whoever's going to be facing them in the 3rd place matchup is going to really have to watch their back. But again, same thing can be said for whoever's going to be going up against Washington University. St. Louis. Oh, please, Zhobiii, lay it. Give me the information.
And we have, again, no rematches happening. It's A versus B groupings, right? It's OCC Esports now versus Washington University and St. Louis Red, and it's Missouri S&T Gold versus Akron in that 3rd place matchup. So your central playoffs for Division 3 are squared away, Sam, and super impressive series. And I think we chose a good one, even though it was a 2-0.
Yeah. I think we did too. It felt, especially there on Bind, that it was going to be a knockout. It felt like it could have been there for Akron, especially in those final few moments of that round. And, you know, it really kept our eyes glued to the screen, Zhobiii. But you know what? Gamers, your eyes take a beating out there. But by Blue Light, blue screen. By Blue Light has you covered, though. Their premium blue light glasses keep you sharp, focused, and ready for victory without the eye strain. Level up your game and protect your vision. Check out By Blue Light today, official eye care partner of the NECC. That is BYEBluelight.com. And of course, Zhobiii, you know, as always with NECC, as we come close to the end, we do have a selection of great games that are still upcoming throughout the rest of the week. So make sure you go ahead and hit that follow button, because tomorrow we're going to be having Marvel Rivals. On Wednesday is none other than Counter-Strike 2 and Rocket League. On Thursday is going to be League of Legends, and on Friday, Overwatch 2. And not only that, but Zhobiii, next week we are going to be taking a break.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, right? It's going to be Thanksgiving here in United States. So after that is going to be our grand final. So a lot to look forward to here, everyone. Make sure you hit that follow button. Of course, I want to say a big thank you to Zhobiii for being here on the desk with me tonight, and to our producer and our observer in the background, Adam and Reach That, for their amazing work. But until the next broadcast, everyone, we'll see you there.